Hey, welcome everybody. Tony Porter, and it is Universal Baseball Association YouTube channel. I hope everyone is good. We're playing Field Day Baseball. I'm replaying the 1982 California Angels. To be honest, I'm not a West Coast guy. I'm an East Coast guy, hardcore East Coast guy, but I was fascinated by the world of the West Coast, and the Angels I noticed back when I was a teen that they had they put together a fairly spectacular team in terms of name-wise, guys that had all-star ability. It doesn't always work that way in baseball, in that just because you have all-star ability, you automatically win the World Series. But I was always fascinated by the mix of guys that they had in terms of free agency and guys that they brought up from their minors and so on and so forth. Now, for Field Day Baseball, these are the charts that I have printed out. In other words, these are the charts that I'm using 90% of the time. So first of all, it's called the 54 roll, or the Field Day chart for the 54 roll. You re-roll and it gives you a bunch of different options of things that can happen, right? This is with the bases empty. And then this is another one with the bases empty, but this is for bases empty Wilder charts. So when the Wilder chart comes in, you're going to be reading this one, and that is a more obscure type of result in the baseball game. And then over here you have with men on base, and what this becomes mostly is wild pitch or pass ball, or balk, right? I'm sorry, not pass ball, wild pitch, balk, or pickoff. So let's see, and then after that you have the wildest charts, 54 wildest charts. You have some more wildest charts down here. I never got down here, I don't know why. Oh, runner on first, runner on second. This is bases empty. All right, so that's as far as I've ever gotten. This is primarily the chart that I use. Then I use this chart, which has the flyouts, but I sometimes look at it to advance the runner from second to third, and I have to do that more. It also has lineouts on 25. There's another line out on 35, but you only really have to look here if there's a runner on base and there's a possibility of a double play, right? If there's no runner on base, you don't really have to look here. You can just look at the dice. It'll say line out on the card. And then here, you're going to have to memorize this a little bit. This is the infielder's arm will basically tell you the range of which he will get a turn a double play. Right, and then of course it's different for the first baseman, catcher, and pitcher. It's much less than the shortstop, third baseman, and second baseman. And pop outs, where they go, I don't look at that. I don't use that. I think it usually says it on the cards. This is an optional. This is optional. So there's a lot of optional stuff in this game. Why more people are not playing this game? I've got only 150 members in Field Day Baseball. This is one of the top 5 games in our hobby in terms of playability, in terms of price, in terms of shipping, getting to you immediately. I buy it now, I open my email, and I print out the teams that I want. I'm going to do a video on how to print this out, because I think this is what's holding a lot of people back. Maybe you don't have a printer, but you know what? You're going to have to save up your pennies, break open your piggy bank, get $50, and buy a printer. I have a $50 printer. I print up all my cards. All these cards that you see on the table were printed on a $50 printer and on a $12 cutter. Okay, and trust me, my eyesight is terrible. My eyesight is terrible. This is the cutter that I use, and I eyeball it. It's not perfect. I know some people like perfect stuff. Well, then, you know what? Dish out some money. But you got to be playing this game. If more people are playing this game, and I know that there's a lot of people asking a lot of questions about this, because there's a lot of elements of very advanced stuff, and the way it's presented, it's a little bit jumbled, to be honest, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. But if you know APA, if you know Strat, if you know Status Pro, right? If you know Sports Illustrated Baseball, you got to try this game. You're going to really value the fluidity, right, of this game and how it just moves, and it's all kind of very interconnected and very very intuitive, right? Extremely intuitive. So Field Day Baseball, designed by Greg Sovan, who was really a genius designer. ASG, remember ASG from the 70s? He's been around from the 70s. So he knows APA, he knows Strat, he knows Status Pro. And he said, you know what? The guy's a genius. Okay, the guy's a really genius. So I could never do, come in any way, shape, or form close to this. He asked, this is one of his last creations, and he really believed in this creation. He reached out to me and he said, I need you to help me play test this. I was involved with a bunch of stuff with a new job. I work 10 to 12 hours a day, and then I come home and I roll some dice. I take care of my kids, my dogs, and they're my new kids. I have very limited time, and I have some physical issues. But anyway, that's a whole nother set of circumstances that I don't need to talk about. So what I'm doing here today, and I have a video on the tall pitcher cards, I'm rolling to see what line on the tall pitcher cards I will use. So the first one is always the red. Gaylord Perry is going up against Angel Moreno. Gaylord Perry for the Mariners in 82. Angel Moreno for the Angels in 82. I'm going to tell you what the hell happened to pitching in 1982 in the American League. I don't know the National League. I haven't played it. But so far, to be honest, the schedule is a little, misconceived because it seems that so far I've played 2 teams and I'm 14 games into the season. Right? I believe I'm 14 games into the season. Let me take a quick peek. All right. The Angels have played 13. This is the 14th game. Okay, this is the 14th game. I played the Mariners and I played the Twins. That's all. So that's all I know. But both these Mariners and Twins have terrible pitching staffs. There's no complete games. Everybody has an ERA of 4.50 or above. There's a couple of guys in the 3.50s on my team. Angel Moreno, for example, and the California Angels had a good team. They won 93 games, right? They were at the top of their division, had a 5 ERA. That's what I'm dealing with here. It is a little disturbing to me, a little painful, to be honest with you, because I am a 70s conservative pitching guy, bunt, small ball. I love the small ball. I love the home runs, but not as much as I love the hit and run, the small ball, the stolen base, moving the runner over, that type of thing, with a good 3-2 ball game, a 4-3 ball game, a 5-4 ball game, right? That's what I'm really into. 1982 is already spilling into the modern era. Yeah, it's spilling into the modern era, and I was not aware of that. So that's the beauty of a lot of the replays we learn about baseball history. I was never, I do a lot of 1980 replays with the Oakland A's, the Billy Ball, and that to me is still the 70s. All of a sudden, I always skip 81 because it was a strike season and it broke my heart when I was a teenager. By 82, I was starting to get into it again. I said, okay, let me give baseball a second chance. But I was very, very brokenhearted, and I just didn't remember how hitting took over. And I think I just started looking at the box scores for the hitters. I think I just stopped looking because in 1980 I was looking for the pitchers. I was into the pitchers. I was into the Oakland A's pitching staff. I love that they were completing every game. I love that aspect of it, and that they were competitive. I thought that was very cool. I was into Billy Martin. I thought he was a fantastic manager, and so on and so forth. But by 82, this is something that I just picked up. I said, you know what? I always admired or was impressed with the lineup, right? And my lineup, these guys play every day. You're going to see the lineup right now. Let me bring it up for you. And then I'm going to do a separate video on just the game itself. But I want to do this introduction because I want to spill my guts here and rant a little bit about what's going on in 1982, right? Okay, so the lineup is Brian Downing. Leading off, he was I remember him as a catcher, right? Wasn't he with the Chicago White Sox? I don't know why I'm thinking that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Fred Lynn, he was a superstar in the Boston Red Sox, right? Rod Carew, superstar with the Minnesota Twins. Reggie Jackson, no comment. Bobby Grich, superstar with the Baltimore Orioles. Don Baylor, okay, again, a guy that power and speed, I don't know if he was a superstar because he was not a great fielder. He was mostly a hitter slash, on base guy slash base stealer slash home run guy. Doug DeCinces, he was known for his glove. He was, and he could hold his own in the batter's box. Tim Foley, who's been around a long time, known as an excellent defensive shortstop. Joe Ferguson, he was a Los Angeles Dodger for a long time, and he was their main starting catcher, right fielder, because he could hit for power, and he had a good on base percentage. I'm pretty sure, right? I don't think he was just one of those swing at whatever they throw at you. So anyway, I looked at this lineup as a kid, and I was like, holy smokes, what's going on? Anyway, I'm going to get started with the game. We are in Seattle. We are in the Kingdom. Yes, we are. It is Gaylord Perry on the mound for the Mariners and Angel Moreno for the California Angels. And let's see how far. By the way, Perry is 43 years old. Angel Moreno is 27 years old. He's eventually relegated to the bullpen. But let's get started with this game and see what happens. And thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I have a lot of followers. I feel that I don't get, and I have a lot of views. I feel that I don't get the thumbs up as much as I could get for really just sharing my perspective on our hobby. Another game that I've started playing, and I will be playing a lot as well on my channel, is Season Ticket Baseball. Fantastic game. Super terrific game, and I'll tell you more about that as I learn it a little bit more. I was on board with that game 5 or 6 years ago. I printed out the rules. I think I was the first one to. I remember being very, very excited. I don't know if I was the first one or not. Probably the last one. Who knows? But 5 or 6 years ago, I printed out the rules. I was ready to roll, and all of a sudden there was a lot of polls asking, hey, should it be this way? Should it be that way? And then there was a lot of questions. There was a lot of changes. There was a lot of. He figured it all out, and so I put everything aside, and I was involved in other replays, deep drive baseball, payoff pitch, right, inside pitch. I played in the league, right, for 4 or 5 years, and so I was really involved in that, and I said, let me hold on till he gets everything straightened out, and then I'll get back to it. I feel that it's a very strong game. He's done a lot of research. He's very, very well-versed in baseball, in the stats. He's a statistician, so this is a fantastic game. It's super easy to pick up, super easy to play if you give it a chance, right? Well, this is what happens, and I find this is what happens. Hear me out. You get used to rolling dice with Stratomatic, and you know where everything is, and it's boom, 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 and you feel comfortable, you feel at ease, you feel confident, you're having a good game, you're enjoying it, you're relaxing, you're sitting back and playing our tabletop baseballs, you're having that whole that dopamine rush of nostalgia. You're back in the 70s, you're back in the late 60s, and then when we turn to a new game, it's like it clashes with what we know, and we have to say, where is that happening, where do I got to look now? And that's the barrier. But once we get over that barrier, and it takes 3 games, 6 games, 9 games, 12 games, these games are done by guys that know that 2 + 2 is 4. So when you're saying which game is more accurate in terms of statistical accuracy, I'm telling you that all these games, if a guy's going to put this much effort, and this is a ton of effort, he's got every single player for every single season, at least in Fall Classic. And this one, he passed, rest in peace, fantastic guy. He didn't get to all the seasons he wanted to produce for this game, but this game is a undiscovered gem. Just ask Kurt Berglund, okay? This game is fantastic. It's super easy to play. It's super exciting. Again, like I said, there is a subtle learning curve, and it has to do with the way the rules are thrown together. Now, some of the most clearly spelled out and formatted and presented rules, I have to say, that I have seen are Season Ticket Baseball. Okay, they are fantastic not only does it give you a worded explanation of what is, with like space, with accurate font, with subtitles, with headings, you know, and it's very clear in the language. It also gives you a secondary, more of a graphic kind of version, more of a bullet version of what they just explained, and then it gives you visual elements with colors. It separates things by colors. So I think he took the best of all the rules and he put them all together into his rule books. I think he took everything that was bad with rule books and he threw that out. And he took everything that was good with rule books and he put it all into one. All right. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. So a little bit of a rant, but that's okay. I think you'll get something out of this. And I play all the games. I'm an APBA guy, from childhood, right? From adolescence. What was I, 12, 13? And I had the greatest time in my life. It was the most peaceful time in my adolescence. And I had one dysfunctional adolescence. And APBA grounded me, and gave me the most amazing times in my early childhood, my early adolescence. And so I know, I'm there with you. So if you're rolling APBA, hey, I still have tons of APBA cards, and I have all the dice shakers. They're around me right here. When I have my dice, it probably fell out. They fell out up here on my windowsill. I got dice. I got this old classic dice shaker from APBA, and I got the newer plastic one. All right, my dogs are getting crazy. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, like and subscribe. Join Universal Baseball Association Facebook group, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.